everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas finally have a home. I forgot. I was so excited. I wanted to do a Hulk Hogan style intro.
What you gonna do, brother? When Steve Yzerman fires you the day after Christmas, brother. What a turn.
Jeez, Merry Christmas to Derek LaLonde. I think I actually said in the solo episode a week ago where I was like, they're not going to do it right now because it's Christmas. They're just, there's no rush. Even like, and this was before they got booed off the ice at home. So
this was the most off-the-space firing I've seen in a long time. Not since John McKinley said, yeah, we like to fire people on a Friday. So we waited till after Christmas and then told Blashill, don't bother coming into work the rest of the week because you're fired.
Honestly,
here's a watch and some peanuts.
I don't know.
I lit this for Derek.
Aw.
I got him a little candle. That's for you, buddy.
Should we have a moment of silence for
We should
Derek?
have a moment of penguins honking. You will be missed. Not by us so much, but someone. This
wasn't part of the podcast, but the thought just popped in my head. The guy who had Gostisbehere and Wallman taken away from him and also spent the whole last season squawking to have Edvinsson full time. And he was like, please, Steve, give me Simon Edvinsson. And Steve was like, fuck you, Derek. And now Derek LaLonde, he's gone. Look, this is an interesting day, Mike. This is I
think it's
I messaged you this morning and I said, are we going to record? And your response, I think, was like,
and then you shared this news and I was like, let's fire it up, baby.
Because, and the reason I brought this up is just that this is where we are at. It was just nothing was going to happen with this team. And we were just like, what are we going to talk about? We're just going to talk about this team stakes, talk about the coaching isn't that great. The roster isn't that great. What else do we do? And Steve, again, decided to spoil Derek's Christmas, or maybe extend it. It's another way to put it. That's probably what Steve said. Yeah, that's what Steve said in the email to Derek today. Just wanted to let you know I was going to extend your Christmas holiday
through the end of the year and also next year.
What's the word for when, like you get hurt and nobody's sure how long it's going to be? I'm thinking of the just
you mean like FMLA or
no, like there's an actual word for it where it's an extended period of time with no defined timeline. I want to look it up, but I don't want to waste time on the show. Indefinitely. Damn it. Yeah. we extended your holiday indefinitely. But no, so yeah, let's for anybody who didn't read the title of the episode, of course, Derek LaLonde out, Todd McLellan, former Detroit Red Wings assistant coach. Shocking because it's on December 26th, I would say. Not shocking because this is what GMs do when they don't want to look like it's their fault that their team stinks. They fire the head coach. And Todd McLellan in. Again, like I mentioned, former Detroit Red Wings assistant coach for the 2008 Stanley Cup Finals. Went on the next season to coach the San Jose Sharks, who actually had a pretty good roster, went first place. Like 3 straight years. We'll take a look at all that. Then, of course, coached for Edmonton and the LA Kings, his most recent tenure. We'll come back to that. But summing up the Derek LaLonde firing, and we'll talk about some of the ties here between what I found today with where the LA Kings are at and where the Detroit Red Wings are at. And Todd McLellan's similar story leaving the Kings is very similar to Derek LaLonde's story. But yeah, you guys are hopping in the comments here. We want to make sure we get your voice mixed in there because this is a big day for you as well. Day after Christmas.
It is. Welcome, Chewy. Welcome, Dan. Who else we got?
Chewy
brand new.
Chewy saying what's up from Texas. What's going on, Chewy?
Everything's bigger in Texas, including Chewy. Merry Christmas.
Dabby coming in. He's coming in early, Mike, with comment of the episode. Steve is the Grinch who stole Penguins Christmas.
So I think the shorter story is like, what are we getting with our new coach? Because there's a lot that has to change about this team. LaLonde was not a perfect coach by any means. But much like Blashill, I don't know if he was quite coming to the corral with a chamber full of bullets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, McLellan, I think you have, if you want to cue up some of the slides here, because he does have, a positive winning percentage, right? I think he was at 58% for his career. His career winning percentage, 58%. So it's, nothing to, look down your nose at, right?
Points percentage.
Okay.
Different, just different from winning percentage, because you get those overtime losses mixed in there.
Sure. It's an improvement from what we've had.
Yeah, for sure. So he starts off with San Jose. You want to, let's go through the list here. Let's reintroduce everybody to Todd McLellan as Jared throws in there. Todd won the cup in Detroit as a coach. Now he's back. Coincidence? I think not. Of course, damn typos comes in right after that. No worries, Jared. I autocorrect for you as I read through the comments. What an asshole I would be if every time I just read through your guys' comments. Anyway, okay, back. So Todd wins the Stanley Cup. Then he moves to San Jose. San Jose, well established at this point, but they want to take a winning attitude from Mike, the Mike Babcock School of Hockey. And they got one, Mike. They got 3 first place finishes in the division. Three from 2008-09 season to the 2010-11 season. Then they finish in second, finish in third, second, and then fifth. And San Jose says, okay, we've had enough. Todd doesn't skip a beat, Mike. He goes right over to Edmonton and finishes 7th.
We got to hit rock bottom so you can bounce back up, right?
He's got Connor McDavid at this point. Now he's finishing second, doing pretty good. Then, falls off again. 6th, 7th place. Ken Holland comes in to Edmonton, kicks
enough of this.
Todd right out the door. All right, so now Todd, he's got to find a new job. Again, does not skip a beat. Goes right into LA, Mike. Hey, finishes 7th. All right. So it's not going great. He's in the same division too. So Todd was just like, hey, you know what? I'll take this specific division. I have the 7th place spot down. This is my spot. This is where I live. Also the 6th place, because that's what he does the next season. Now, finally, the last couple of seasons before last year, I guess 3 seasons ago. Damn, that was dumb. He gets a couple of 3rd place finishes, runs it out in 3rd place with the Kings. They keep losing to the Edmonton Oilers, his former team, in the playoffs. They just can't get past that stinking first round, because what happens? They meet the best in the world. I mean, it's tough. They just can't. It's tough to put a roster together that's better than a roster that features Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. And Todd McLellan, it's your fault, buddy. You're fired. Kings fire him after 48 games. I guess at that time they had gone on a crazy losing streak, and it's actually the game that ended the losing streak. The next night he gets canned. But all the while, some ups and downs here. This isn't besides the great start with San Jose. This wasn't anything that was a perfect coaching career, but for sure. Whoops, I took our faces off there. But for sure, a lot more experience that Derek LaLonde came in with. So yeah, that's your background on Todd McLellan from atmospheric level view, as macro as it gets. Matt comes in here. Matt, this is my burner account. I'm just terrible at making up names, apparently. Defensive coach to defensive coach. Whoop-de-doo. I love this one. Derek Hand coming aboard. Hey, guys.
Jared with my favorite comment so far, saying CM Punk? Because he called him best in the world.
Where are we at? I had another one. Oh, another one from Jared. Newsy, at least practice bird law. Performance art coming in. Yeah, baby. New voice. That's right.
That's a bummer. We were really starting to like that LaLonde impression. Now I got to learn how McLellan sounds.
Yeah, I hope he has something, unique about his voice, so it'll be easy for us to take into these episodes. Derek Hand,
there's a lot of yelling we got to get used to. A lot more volume.
Yeah, a little more anger when he's making his points, apparently. Derek Hand, nice to get in, and a Babcock Jr. We had experience with that, of course, with Jeff Blashill being of the Babcock school. So here we go again.
Get ready for that love affair.
Yeah. Here we go. All right. Yeah, we're back. And we're back. All right. So clearly we're making some jokes here because we're not. This isn't like this wasn't the move I think you and I were hoping for to turn things around for the Wingdings.
Oh, Red Wings fan club says D-Mac is fired up.
Oh, great. Okay. For sure, sign I feel really confident about where the rest of this episode is going to go right now.
Positively or negatively, Red Wings fan club? Because I'm not going to tune into Darren McCarty. I'll tell you that right now.
All right. Quick ad here.
Wait, hold on. Dan B with a bid for a comment of the episode saying, finally, a coach who needs a barber.
Too true.
Also, Dan B, you said that with Charlie Brown as your icon there, a bald character. So you might want to switch to maybe Linus. He's got some hair. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, quick shout out to the Discord, which I'm gonna try and share a link in the chat here. But they were talking earlier today that Darren, for the first time, has put a negative spotlight on a piece of the Yzer plan, and it being Derek LaLonde. And it kind of the comments in the Discord. Did I say Slack? I meant Discord. But the comments in the Discord were kind of like, okay, now he's trying to plant the seeds. Like, this is the problem. It's not the beautiful roster that Steve's built.
The comments of the episode are coming in hot because performance art say Darren is a dancing monkey. Absolutely. Tell the dancing monkey. He'll get out there and say it. So now it's LaLonde's fault that Yzerman built a terrible roster.
Yeah, let me share the Discord here.
Also, Dan B, I'm sorry that you're bald.
Oh.
It is one of my favorite Larry David moments when somebody asks him to pray and he says, "There's no God." And he said, "How can you say that?" He said, "I know," or he says, "I know prayer doesn't work." You know how I know? Because I'm bald. So.
Well, let's rewind because we jumped to this slide, but I did want to kind of set the stage a little bit. So going back to the LaLonde getting fired, and we actually had this slide queued up for the last episode. It was Jay Fresh actually decided to highlight the Detroit Red Wings. He goes, "Say what you will about the Yzer plan, but there's no reason why the entire team should be underwater offensively like this." And I agree. And what we're showing right now is a Jay Fresh at Jay Fresh Hockey puts together his own data visualization. We share his player cards all the time. This is just a graph he put together, basically looking at every player on the Detroit Red Wings measured against the expected goals for per 60. The average in the league is essentially what this is measured as the Y axis here going up and down. So to kind of paint a picture here for everybody listening on the podcast, you've got your access point on this graph, dividing the average point right down the middle. Every single Red Wing pretty well beneath that line. There isn't one where it's like, well, maybe if you squint, it looks like Dylan Larkin's above it or Lucas Raymond. Nope, everybody. And essentially Jay Fresh is saying here, like, regardless of the roster that's been built here, there isn't an argument to hang on to Derek LaLonde for sure. And I think even in the last couple of months here, we've been saying, like, he's not coming back. So anybody that was wishing for him to get canned, he's not coming back. But that doesn't solve all the problems here. But I think this is more or less fans booing this team off the ice before the holiday break. Like, losing, what was that? The final score, was that 4-0 or 4-1? But essentially, like, you can't just do that at home. And that's one of Elliot Friedman's, I think, his favorite quotes to throw into 32 Thoughts is like, get destroyed on the road. Just don't do that at home. That's not verbatim, but that's essentially, something that GMs, coaches see as like a sign. It's like things are truly going wrong here is when you get blown out multiple times at home. And it wasn't the first time this year. It wasn't the first time they've been booed out of the building. But Mike,
I think the quote too that Larkin put out there was kind of getting the rounds, where he was saying, it's not like guys aren't trying. It feels like we're putting a lot of effort out there, but we're just not being rewarded for our hard work. So that to me, I feel like is because he's a pro, right? But it kind of feels like a message that he's trying to get across that this is not working. Even though we're trying there's guys trying hard to make this work. It's just not.
Yeah. You know what?
And I think us watching at home, I think it's hard for us to digest that comment because it definitely looked like some Red Wings were just playing not to lose 18-0. Well, it's fine if we lose, 5-1 or 4-0. At least we didn't lose 100-0. Like, that's how it kind of looked like they were playing. But at least if the captain's getting out there and saying, I just don't know if this is working. We're trying. There's no reward for the effort, even when we are doing the system. So I think that was another big nail in the LaLonde Nosferatu coffin.
I would love to hear some reviews on that if anybody's seen it, because I'm dying to see it. Yeah, what do we have? We have 3 wins in December. Buffalo, Toronto. Toronto probably got LaLonde like an extra week if you think about it. Like, the fact that this happened the day after Christmas means Steve was thinking about it a couple of weeks ago, right? Like, it's not like over yesterday opening presents. He was like, you know what? I got to do it. No, this has been a thought for a while. But you beat Toronto, you beat Philly. You got to think like, okay, maybe things might turn themselves around. But then Montreal, a couple of games in a row against one of the worst teams in your division. St. Louis 4-0 to go into the holiday break. And yeah, for sure. And Chewy, I think I heard your comment
when you mentioned the home and home sweep from Montreal. I heard that indigestion go through you, Matt. You almost threw up.
Yeah,
I heard that.
Oh, good.
But that was on the microphone.
Dr. Pepper Zero, gassy up.
And Corey, welcome. St. LaLonde lost the room and therefore had to go, even though it wasn't all his fault.
Yeah.
100%. And then he follows it up by saying, this team is garbage.
The Butler.
Thank you, Jared, saying the Butler did it.
Now, so you might ask yourself, listening to this, what are we trying to do, setting up this storyline of like bringing up LaLonde could have lasted the rest of the season. You're not going to get a winning team out of this. What's the point? It's that this can't be it, right? Now we talk. So here's that official statement. We don't even need to show this. Who gives us? We know that happened. So you got to try and figure out, like, is a real difference going to be made here? I did find this nice quote after Todd McLellan got fired. Cam Talbot, I think he's a great coach. Actually mentioned. So this is at Michael Trakos on X. Cam Talbot says about Todd McLellan, I think he's a great coach. I love playing for him. I've loved Todd ever since I was back in Edmonton. Great. So Cam's got a ton of experience here. He's extremely detailed, knows when to push, knows when to pull back. He's really good about that. He's a good communicator. So
do you think we're going to get one of these tweets from Patrick Kane about LaLonde?
That's a great question. I don't think so. But I think you could make the argument you might get one from Moritz Seider, Lucas Raymond, or Simon Edvinson, who have been turning in.
Oh, Matt, you slide dog, you.
Look, if you were looking at the roster, Mike, and you needed to define the guys that needed to be turning in good seasons this year to show development of your franchise, development of your core players, could you honestly look at your 3 core players and say that they have been turning in a pretty good 24-25 season?
But, they've looked objectively better. So do we give LaLonde credit for that? I don't know if that's one of the codas you want to leave with the LaLonde experience is like the positives. Like, do you feel like he left anything on this team better than it would have been if he wasn't here? And I think that's the closest impact that you could point to is, do you give him credit for Lucas, Mo, and Simon?
Now, Silver throws out there, Seider has been overused. This is tough for me to
You could arguably say he's been underused because last I checked, there's a whole other 30 minutes he could have been playing. So,
yeah, Silver, this one's tough for me because I would agree with you. When you first look at those numbers, you're like, geez, Pete, this kid is getting absolutely rocked. He doesn't have the time to stand out and do the things he needs to do. Now, are you guys ready? If, let's say, we subtract a couple of those minutes from Seider's numbers here, are you guys ready to see the scores that are about to light up your phones every couple of minutes? Of course, light up the scoreboard at the LCA because they're not going to be in favor of Detroit. I would make the argument, Silver, that you are correct, but that wasn't on LaLonde. I would say we lost too much defensively over the offseason. We couldn't cover our bases anymore, and we really have only had one solution for LaLonde to try and cover up some of the gaps.
Chris, welcome aboard. Saying a thoroughly underwhelming hire. I know we got a lot of stuff that we want to try and touch on, but I don't know if what underwhelms me, Chris, is that I think I'm just tired of Yzerman getting his old buddies from his old teams. You know what I mean? Like, McLellan already worked for the Red Wings. LaLonde worked for the Lightning. I wish that they didn't, like, is it that undesirable a job? There's only 32 possible head coaching jobs in the NHL. We couldn't find somebody like overly qualified to like run the Detroit Red Wings. Like, we got to keep going to this well of guys that Yzerman's built some relationship with, 15 years ago, and it again kind of feels like, a favor. I think that's what disappoints me, is it doesn't feel like we have the allure.
I like Silver's point here. I think we're all underwhelmed because the season is fucked. Like, there just wasn't going to be a hire right now that was really going to like turn your head, unless it was going to be like in a negative way, where there's a part of me right now that's just like, okay, I'm happy we're not having the discussion right now of, is it morally wrong that Joel Quenneville is our new head coach? Like, I'm thankful we're not having that conversation right now. Okay. Yeah. Can I just say, like, that's a thing that I'm pretty happy about. I like Jared LaLonde, send out the German. Oh, I guess LaLonde wouldn't sound like that.
We're gonna send out the get the German German kid, Mo Scheider. We're gonna send him out and see if we can stop them for 5 seconds. And then Jared throw it out there. Pro scouts are all his buds or actual brother. Chris throwing in there. It's not a bad job, just a bad owner. Yeah, I guess Mike really was making an impact. Jesus. Bringing him back from the grave is probably the only way to rescue this team right now.
So yeah, a couple more hits here on. I guess if you want to take a look at Todd McLellan's career here and kind of where the struggles were coming from. Now, this is the argument that Todd's not a bad hire to go against the where is it? We're underwhelmed here. Because I would say you were put in position here. If you take a look at the Pacific Division, this is from what year is it? So this would have been 22, and then we have 23 and 24 we'll take a look at here in a second. But in 2021-22, he's going to finish in third. He finishes above the Golden Knights. Of course, this is the year they pulled in Jack Eichel, and he was on LTIR the whole season, so he didn't actually they didn't make it to the playoffs this year. But the Kings outplay the Canucks, and at this point, the Canucks were trading for I think Hronek at this point, right? Maybe not. Maybe I'm not remembering that right. But anyway, they have to go into the playoffs, and this is considered a failure on Todd McLellan's part. Is they go up against the Oilers? Not exactly your easiest task here.
Not the ideal matchup, right?
Oilers have a pretty successful playoff run. Next year, Vegas Golden Knights. They're going to go ahead and win the Stanley Cup this year. Oilers, again, you're going to face them in the first round. Boom, you're out. The Kings actually finished with 104 points. Not a lot of huge changes to the roster. Some aging vets. I think Quentin Byfield gets his first turn this season. But, even the Kraken were able to get up to 100 points. So I don't want to give too much credit to 104 because at the bottom of this division, you've got the Ducks, the Sharks. Oh, and this would be the year the Canucks traded for Hronek.
Before you knock 104 points down, it's 13 more than our best season under the past couple coaches. So
very true.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Now, this would be the season Todd doesn't finish, but the Kings finish 1 point, a smidge below 100. They're going to go up against the Oilers again, who are going to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they're out. Of course, this division comes equipped with a 47-point San Jose Sharks, a 59-point Ducks.
You know what we're really learning here?
Score. Yeah, go ahead.
With this trend you're showing us, the Kings are essentially like the Toronto Raptors, and they had to keep facing LeBron James in the semifinals every year, and they kept getting killed. Yeah, you keep facing LeBron James, you're probably not going to win. So yeah, they go against the Cup winners. They go against McJesus. I don't know how to really kill McLennan for that.
So the argument I'm actually, or the story I'm putting together here, like they've said, like the difference here is that McLellan comes in with the details. Now, this is a team that I would say, based on the teams in the division, maybe looks a little bit better than it actually is. Which meant Rob Blake, GM, had to do very little here. And he didn't do a ton to help Todd out over these few seasons. Clearly, if you had to make the change, you're seeing a defensive strategy that's working quite well and is putting guys that end up becoming free agents. They become, the top free agents the next season. They become huge trade targets that people want to take on. Names that we've talked about are coming from the Kings and the strategy and the style that's helping the Kings make it to the playoffs. It's helping Cam Talbot, who's now our goalie, have one of his best seasons last year. So it's a style of hockey that helps. And it's a style that, again, is considered this detail-oriented style. It's a defensive style. It's a style that we talked about when Cam Talbot came aboard to the Detroit Red Wings. We called out that can Cam Talbot be successful here because we don't play as stout a defense as the Kings have been playing. And yet, Mike, got a little bit of evidence here. To the contrary, quality shot attempt was what was considered the difference for Cam Talbot, Mike. If you can prevent quality shots, if you can prevent your opponent's quality of shot to being at the, to being more of a high danger shot, bring it to being more of a low danger shot, you can help Cam Talbot be more successful. You can help all your goaltenders be more successful. Mike, this is from this season. Derek LaLonde put together a defensive strategy that the Red Wings are in second place in the league. Second place for the average expected goal value of the shot attempt. These shots that the Detroit Red Wings give up are the second easiest for a goaltender to stop in the NHL right now. Number one in the league, Mike. The style and strategy that we are bringing over to the Detroit Red Wings. Number one in the league right now, Mike, is the LA Kings. The Red Wings have a chance here, Mike, to go from 5.3% in the average expected goal value they give up to the exact same number, 5.3%, which they are now tied for first with the LA Kings for the quality of shot that they give up.
Wonderful.
Mike, you brought over the coach that wrote the book on this, and Derek LaLonde stole that book this past season. Put it to the test, Mike.
Oh.
All right, if you're watching the podcast, this might be a little confusing, but again, we're sharing a Jay Fresh statistic visualization, as he's known to do, that again measures the quality of shot, how many high danger chances, how many medium danger, how many low danger chances are you giving up when a shot is thrown at your goaltender. The Red Wings stifle those chances. They make them earn those goals.
What our two hugest weaknesses are: we can't stop anybody on the penalty kill, and we're terrible at 5-on-5 hockey. We're pretty good on our own power play, right? I think like top 11 or 12.
Tangay here to stay.
Thank God. I feel like I'm a little concerned that this is like, you're really good when you get behind the wheel of a car. You're really good at using your turn signal, but you get into a lot of head-on collisions. So you bring in a driving coach who makes you even better at using turn signals. It's like, we're already kind of good at using the turn signal. It's more the gas and the brake and the wipers when it's raining. Turn on the headlights, flow of traffic. All those things we still have to fix, but now we're even better at using our turn signal. So this is really exciting times for the Red Wings.
Right. And I just want to call out to a couple people in the chat, Crimson Shadow, how's Montreal number one and anything? Well, just to point out, Crimson, number one. Yeah, well, number one on this chart would be the shittiest team in the league. So that's why they're number one on this.
Colorado up there, right? Because Georgiev gave up like every single fucking shot was a goal. And I would know because he was on my fantasy team. He was terrible.
Exactly. Now, on the flip side, your shot attempts on net, what's oh no, I'm sorry, this is a whole nother thing I was tracking. This is just percentage of 5-on-5 shot attempts that actually hit the net. This is something that the Red Wings are at the basement of the league. Also another struggle for the Kings, and something that's been a struggle for them the last couple of seasons as well. So this is your own offense. You get that attempt on net. You get that attempt, I should say. Is it actually hitting the net? So for anybody who's not familiar, when you're measuring like puck possession and Corsi and Fenwick, what's included in those are block shots and misses of the net. But it's considered you have possession of the puck. It is possible for you to hit the net. Now, even the very best team in the league is at 50.9%.
Sure.
So that's the Edmonton Oilers. The very best team in the league is only hitting the net 50% of the time, close to 51% for Edmonton. But if you want your offense to have a little bit more control of the puck and you want to see some better chances, some opportunities to score, the Kings and Wings are kind of in the same spot.
Yeah.
So now it comes to the question, and this is kind of where I've built this whole story, this whole podcast. Now we're going to try and figure out, like, is enough there on these two rosters? And the scary part, Mike, is the question that Stevens from The Athletic was trying to answer last season after Todd McLellan got fired. Kings fired Todd McLellan, but shouldn't GM Rob Blake share the blame? And a snippet from this I will read as quickly as I can. Firing McLellan, hired in 2019, to get the Kings through their rebuilding stage and move them into a contending phase might be the answer. Blake had better hope it is. It is the only lever he has at his disposal because the failings of his salary cap busting roster moves didn't do McLellan any favors. Now, Blake, whose contract is set to expire, blah, 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 is facing all the scrutiny if the Kings don't turn things around. Goes on to talk about trades that haven't worked out, sending guys off this team where it doesn't really make sense, bringing in goaltender signings that aren't quite adding up. Mike, fast forward a year, and Max Bultman comes out with an article today replacing Derek LaLonde can't be the Red Wings only champ.
Yeah, man. I think the picture you're painting, it's makes us all feel pretty bleak. It's a bleak outlook.
Sounds familiar.
I think most of the the commenters on our show understand that, firing LaLonde was necessary. It needed to happen. There was that long stretch, last season, season before, where it just felt like the team quit. It was right around the deadline 2 years ago. Last year, we blew it with a little bit of injury, and the whole team just shut down emotionally, and LaLonde just couldn't wake them back up. This season, it wasn't an Ottawa sweep. It was a Montreal sweep. So the guy, he doesn't have it. Something that we can look at just in our beautiful city of Detroit. The Lions don't lose 2 in a row. You lose one, they get pissed, then they win the next game. He had to go. But I think the scariest part of this move is that when I talked about it, with fellow Red Wing fans, fellow hockey fans, I think there's a giant agreeing consensus, Matt. This doesn't solve very much. I don't know what a new coach is going to get out of, the charades and Petries. And Petries on a heater for Petrie, right? He scored a couple goals in the past 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to turn around when, Matt, you and I were talking in the pre-show that Jake Wallman and Shane Gostisbehere have scored 26 points and I think 27 points? Or it might be 25-27, something like that. And then Patrick Kane and where is he? Tarasenko have combined 26 points. So It's like each of those defensemen, if they were still on our team, have a greater, output and impact than our two, mid-30s offensive forwards. So again, is this a spot where that's LaLonde's fault that he didn't get to keep, 2 defensemen who last year when we talked about this Red Wing team, they were leading the league defensively in scoring. They were kicking ass, like Gostisbehere on the power play, quarterbacking things. Seider was doing a good job growing into that role. Looked like Edmondson was doing a really good job on the blue line. Replacing LaLonde was necessary, but it's not going to solve everything. And I can't read another article that says, when you fire a coach in the National Hockey League, usually leads to a little spark. A little spark comes in. Maybe you got a little win streak, go on a spark. I don't know, man. Maybe Patrick Kane will, because I don't think that he liked LaLonde very much. Maybe he'll start scoring a little bit more, but this is still an incredibly flawed roster. So, if you're going to come in and tell these guys, we're going to play defense my way, which it's kind of what you were doing before, but slightly different because my name's on it. I don't know what that does for guys like Berggren. What does that do for guys like Kane? What does that do for guys like Tarasenko? Those guys aren't defensive players. You really want to make the change. You're unfortunately, as much as NHL.com's shop sees that I've saved a Patrick Kane jersey in there, should things turn out well, which they haven't, so I haven't bought it yet. Unless you're going to have to move those guys, you're going to have to actually make difficult trades, and I don't know if that's in the cards, Matt. I don't know if Steve's going to do that because he hasn't proven he's going to do that. We've seen him sell teams at the deadline, but I don't have the confidence that he's going to fix this team this year. This for me is, Matt, I don't want to say stupid. I do want to say it's a risky move for Steve because he's running out of scapegoats. And LaLonde, I think, was a bald penguin scapegoat. He's very easy to target and blame when things went poorly. But again, a little bit like Blashill, on this show, we didn't hate Blashill. We kind of felt, again, that he was playing with a gun without enough bullets. He didn't have the forwards. He didn't have the defense. LaLonde kind of got one season where he had a little bit of that, right? And then they broke it up. And now he's to blame for them, petering out. Steve, well, you just, it's the same line that we just looked at about Rob Blake. You better hope this works, because this is on you, bro. This is your third coach. This is your roster. Those are your free agents out there. That's your Andrew Kopp. That's your Tarasenko. That's your Sherratt. That's your Petrie. Those are your boys. You handpicked them and gave them long contracts. You signed JT Compher. You are looking at him, and he's barely a fourth-line center now, man. He can't even win faceoffs anymore. That's over. Is that Lalonde's fault?
Yeah,
is that Lalonde's fault?
I mean, now we're just a couple of goofballs, right? We're just two brothers.
Sure. Right. Happen
talking about
hockey shirts. Yeah.
At least we have backing us up now, Max Boltman, and I really love this point from his article.
Hit me.
If a room full of professional athletes truly needs someone else to light their fire for them, that speaks to a much bigger issue, especially for a team that has made a point of bringing in veteran leadership over the last 3 off seasons and given out some cumbersome contracts in the name of doing so. To all the names that you just called out, Mike, to the Sherratts, to the Petries, to the Canes, to the Tarasenkos, if this really is what they needed to see happen, to all right, you know what? We'll shoot for
let's go to work 540.
We'll shoot for a 540 points percentage the rest of the season. Then what are we even doing here? If that was the team Steve sat in contract negotiations with these guys, I like the guy. I like the cut of his jib. He's gonna show Board-Sider what this is all about. Just
sure.
Look, there needs to be a level of honesty, I think, at the next Steve Yzerman press conference where he needs to call himself out. There's been a lot of I never gave you guys a timeline. I'm not going to tell you guys what my plan is, but there needs to be a level of hey, I'm literally asking Red Wings fans to drop their hard-earned cash to come watch my shitty team. And I apologize for that. Because now I'm on my third coach now, and it looks like we're gonna become the third all-time longest playoff drought of all NHL history this season. And I need to hold some blame for that. While some of you on X will support me to no end, Twitter, X, whatever, just know that I actually do hold quite a bit of blame for the 9th season that you will be without Red Wings playoff hockey. Never to be done before in Red Wings history. I've done it.
Man, is this a monologue at the end of Muppet Christmas Carol? This is beautiful.
Did you like my Steve impression?
I did. I do want to hit a few comments here because they're coming in like hotcakes. Damn it, Dan B. I don't care that you waved Jonathan Quick. My team's in the toilet. Corey saying, if McLellan can improve the penalty kill to league average, somehow improve our possession stats by a little, this will be monumental improvement. If he fixes that, and there has to be player movement. I will agree with you, Corey, with a little bit of player movement. And he does follow up with that later. Stevie needs to jettison one of our bad contracts with term on it. You're gonna, you know what, Steve? You screwed this up so bad. Now you're gonna have to trade one of those guys with picks attached, like good picks. That's how bad you screwed this up. Crimson echoing that. We want to start winning games. We got to fix this PK. Also, hi Crimson, how you doing? And for the love of God, put a restraining order on Petrie and Ben ever playing together again. Yeah, I thought we had all this defensive depth, and then these two jabronis get to share the ice. It's preposterous, Matt. So for firing head coaches, how about firing some pro scouts? Hint, Stevie. Crimson is cooking right now. I like that one a lot. Several contracts expiring, but really need to buy out 2 bad deals in Hall and Gustafson or Kopp. And Crimson, I know you got one too, but D-Max saying this team looked like they were playing to get their head coach fired. That's not what Larkin said. I don't think that they were trying to get him fired. I think that this is not working. And the only reason I say that, Crimson, is Jesus Christ, what a bunch of divas if you can't just be professionals and like try to win hockey games. We're paying you $8 million, or in Kane's case, we're paying you $4 million. You think he could play a little bit out there? I can't, it's ridiculous that Kane would ever get lost in games. He's too skilled to do that. And then Matt Silver saying, I don't think it's a risk to Steve. He's VP and GM. If he felt someone could do a better job as GM, he could always hire someone. I think it's just risky in that he's running out of people to blame. That's all. I mean, now the most consistent thing is his roster building.
Dede, goodbye to a top 5 pick. Hello, commitment to mediocrity. Now, I do want to hit on Kyle Dickerson here because he came in hot. Kyle, I don't recognize you, but I hope you'll subscribe and we'll talk about your points here. His first point was the fact of the matter is the team quit on LaLonde. He is not a good coach. He inspires no confidence, throws his players under the bus, and doesn't take responsibility for the team not improving.
I think Kyle's strongest point is that they didn't just quit on LaLonde this year. They did it every year he's been here. So I think Kyle's got a heck of a point there. There was stretches where it just felt like they're like, whatever, man. There's no effort. They got blown out in games. They were not competitive. So yeah, I mean, if it was just the end of his tenure and it's like, man, it's just ringing hollow. But it rang hollow all 3 seasons that he was under the Red Wings. So Kyle, that might be a bid for comment of the episode.
And Kyle did come in again. If you go look at some of the preseason pressers with Yzerman and people are talking about playoffs, I think he means like the media. You could tell he swung, which by the way, Mike, what was our stance after this off season? We were like, oh shit, this team sucks. But Kyle says, if you look at some of the preseason pressers, people were talking about playoffs. You could tell he swung and missed at something. The look on his face said, no, we're going to suck. So Kyle, I totally agree with you. The only problem is, and and correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, it does feel like these 2 comments are in somewhat of a defense of Steve Yzerman. I would just say that attached to this team sucking and the guy who brought in Derek LaLonde, that person holds some blame for where we're at right now. And I do, as much as I agreed with Yzerman that he was like, no, you guys are a bunch of idiots. We're not going to the playoffs this year. There's no reason that he couldn't have, right? Like, couldn't we have not traded away Jake Wallman for a second round pick just to get him off the roster? I mean, again, Kyle, just throwing out there, I could be wrong, but I'm reading into these a little bit. It does feel like some defense of Steve Yzerman, to which I would just say, I think Derek LaLonde was not serving anybody any good here as a coach. And I think he was, regardless, should not make it through the season. And now he's gone. We don't have to worry about it. I just don't know if this is the move that really changes this team for the better, I think is our point. Or it can't be the only move, right?
Got it. I hope not.
That's all. Kyle, I could be completely reading into that incorrectly. And I do appreciate you joining the show, but I'm just curious if that's not how you feel. Let me know. But also I do just kind of think, this is, I think somebody put up earlier, the blame here was like 65-35, 65. Yep. There it is. Dan B, 65 on Yzerman, 35 on LaLonde. And there he is. Kyle, gotcha. 100%. Okay. So Kyle, I love you, man. Again, welcome aboard. Glad to have you. I love where you're coming from. Jared throwing out there, I nodded off. What was Matt talking about? Thanks, Jared. I love you. You can go away.
God damn it. That's Seeking Duke. I love the handle. Saying according to Puckpedia, Larkin's making a little over 100 a game. He's making 11 mil this year. I don't think that's right, is it? He's only making like 8. 8.7. I'm not going to kill that contract too much. It's our only player worth a damn, really.
I'm sorry to everybody else, but Dan A is going to win comment of the
wise.
episode. In Steve's defense, we really needed that Wallman cap space to make sure we landed Tarasenko and Gustafson for 2 years.
Dan A, you know what? Sometimes the comment of the episode comes right at the end.
Dan A, comment of the episode. All right. Well, we can't wrap up on only bad news, but was that were those all my slides? What else did I have to talk about? Lucas Raymond, Quentin Byfield comparisons.
You know what? Real quick, before you get off topic change topics. I'm sorry.
Before I get off topic. Wow.
That's what we're good at on this show.
You.
Jay, welcome aboard, saying, I believe there will be more moves. Yeah, because there's this trade freeze that's up this week on Friday. So I understand that we wanted to ruin LaLonde's Christmas, so we fired him today. But I also wonder if it coincides with Steve going, you know what? A few of these moves, hey, that's on me, dog. So maybe there's a chance that he's going to, move some of these guys come Friday. Because if you're gonna if you're gonna do the change, right, I think you want to do it all at once, not
so
have these guys learn the system. They're like, you know what, screw it, let's get some new guys in here and give them fewer games to learn this new system with McLellan.
I was listening to the new Jeff Merrick podcast earlier today, and he had Greg Wyshynski on.
Yeah.
This was recorded on Monday, and Greg throws out there, without talking about the Red Wings or anybody, he's like, and historically, what with the trade freeze, you also don't see coaches get fired around this time because it is the holidays, and usually they want to throw in a little bit of stability and kind of make sure that they're not just coming in with breaking the morality of any of their contract decision. And this is just Greg just talking off the cuff. This is just him speaking about how the NHL handles itself. And I'm listening to this after Derek had been fired on December 26th. I have to say too, I don't really have a huge problem with it, but it does kind of suck. I would hate to get fired the day after Christmas. You just got to throw that out there.
I will say, when you got to go back to work after you're off on Christmas, you're like, ugh, this is going to be the worst thing ever. But at least Derek's it's not so bad.
Silver thrown out there. We need Trouba.
Oh my
just
God.
so everyone knows, that was sarcasm. Well,
what was that other one I really liked? Where are the investigative reporters? I want to know about Wallman, damn it, says Corey. Yeah, I want to know what the hell that trade was. I still don't understand why we had to attach picks to a guy who'd be the third on our team in points. God. I'm kind of over Yzerman, you guys. I don't know if Matt and I have made that clear yet. We're kind of over that guy. I do. I'm glad someone reminded us to talk about this because I have not felt inclined to get a Red Wing jersey in many moons, but I think I'm getting me a little Sandin Pellikka. Huh? A little hat trick Ruski on the World Junior Classics, 3 goals, an assist, and 11 shots. My God, he would have led the team in the Red Wings in shots the other day. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Man, oh man, what an offensive talent. Bet, when they put his name on the back of my jersey, it's going to be size 8 font. There's so many letters in there. I can't wait for people to squint at that bad boy. Man, look at this guy. What a sniper.
Yeah.
Wrist shot after wrist shot. He's got this sick dance where he goes around the boards. Oh, man, they're going to trade him like they did Wallman. Fuck! I hate this organization.
I mean, you got to trade him now. Right? It comes off a hat trick in the World Junior. Yeah, exactly. Let's see
if we can bundle him for a couple third rounders. Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, we highlighted earlier in the show, the shots that we take don't land. We don't take a ton of high quality shots. I mean, if there's an answer for this team's troubles, it's right
this
here.
Man playing for the Red Wings tonight on Friday.
Yeah, I don't know what we're thinking here. This doesn't need to go another year.
Are you guys out of your minds? He's clearly going to be our best player. What are you waiting for? Why do you want him to be the best player on the Griffins when he can be the best player on the Red Wings? It's madness.
Yeah, I mean, so for anybody who's not watching the show here on YouTube, we're just watching Axel's highlights from the World Junior Classic. He actually opened up. So this is game number 1 in the World Juniors. Opens up with a hat trick. And Mike, you read his box score. Was that 1 assist or 2 assists? But
4 points. So he had 3 goals, 1 assist, 11 shots from the blue line. This guy is a machine.
So it is one of those things. Like I did do some research, and you're kind of looking at like the LA Kings roster and like how are they like turning in similar like team statistics but getting 100 points. Well, like this season they have Alex Laferriere, who's drafted in 2020, but in the second round, and he's 3rd or 4th on the LA Kings in points. So they have a guy drafted late who's finding success. Now Pelika still comes in as a 1st-round pick, but this wasn't our first pick of the draft. Was this 22 or 23? I mean, this kid is just something that I think we've been excited about. Mike, this was your pick of like this draft is a failure if we don't get Axel. So this is your boy. This is something
I've never been more proud
you were so stoked.
Yeah. What we're gonna call analysis ever. It's a strong word for what I did. I just liked his name.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things where it's just like, all right, we do have to get through this season, but there's still some hope. But Axel loading up for us, bringing some happy vibes.
A little Christmas cheer from ASP. We appreciate it, bud.
Thank you so much, Axel.
It was the only nice Red Wing news in weeks. I don't count today's firing and hiring as good news. It was just kind of like,
thank you.
You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do this. And then you're supposed to fire Yzerman. Whoops. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
There was a funny line in the Todd McLellan article. Not a funny line, but it probably just was something where I was just like, oh, I haven't really accepted that as truth. But so this is the Kings firing Todd McLellan. Of course, we highlighted that in this episode because we were trying to say like, oh, there's some 2 true parallels between the 2 situations between the Kings and the Red Wings. Both GMs, of course, also played in the same era. Anyway, the line in it was, you can't be too like sad or happy or whatever you want to feel here, because this is just every coach's career trajectory. You will get hired, you will have some prosperity, some downtimes, and you will get fired. No coach lasts forever. And they were just like, that's what this is for Todd. And they were like, he will most certainly get another job. He did. Was less than a year between jobs because he was February, I think, that we saw he got fired from LA.
Yeah.
Gets hired in December the same year. So he's back at it. He's working again. But they were just like, that's the life of an NHL coach. They expect hire, some roller coaster, fired. And here he is. I don't know. I read that and I was just kind of like, yeah, you never really think about that. It's just life and death, but like every coach will get fired at some point. No coach takes a team to the end.
I did want to throw something in there, and it's partly because Dan A has been doing a fantastic job today. And he's once again pandering to me in my my fetishization of Elmer the Glue Man Soderblom. This doesn't gain to him.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we're fun before we broke him. We can't go crazy and calling up our prospects, right? Because there are some that they're just not ready, right? But I do wish, like, Steve would take McLellan, in the room and be like, all right, this is our full roster. This is who you got at the NHL level. This is who you can pick from the AHL level. Based on what your system is, are there some dudes down there that you think would really benefit your system? I'm bringing you in to try and rescue this season so it's not completely lost. Are there some dudes down here I can call up to make that happen? So, we've dreamed of Soderblom being a 6'9" man with, 8.5 foot reach with his hockey stick. Being large, being in the way. I don't know if that contributes to the 1-3-1, but I would be fascinated to see what, if any, roster moves actually occur before the Maple Leafs game. If McLellan's like, not even necessarily Soderblom, right? That's for me. And maybe Dan A. But if he could actually have an impact to be like, dude, I need somebody like X, Y, or Z to come up. Because I can't, if you want me to do my system, I don't know what you want me to do with Tarasenko. Bless his heart. I know he still has a shot. That's great. I can use him exclusively on the power play. Or he can give me somebody I can cycle through my lines and maybe play on a penalty kill. So I don't even know how feasible that is. Because it almost feels like Steve's just trying to get someone in there to make Steve's guys at the NHL level work. Which is, again, mind-blowing that he brought in a defensive coach to try and make Patrick Kane and Tarasenko play defense. That's not going to happen. But, Matt, do you think there's any chance that we actually see roster moves for the Friday game?
Not for Friday. I don't know. I feel like teams and GMs kind of shut off, right? Like, aren't they they're celebrating too. So I feel like you would have had to have been pretty deep in a conversation already, and you're just kind of turning it back on. But well, shit, I don't know. I guess I'm full of shit because Steve clearly was working yesterday and today. I don't think so, but they're gonna come, right? It's not like we're not gonna wait till the trade deadline. So some things are gonna happen sooner rather than later. Max Boltman called out, keep an eye on names like Trevor Zegras and Dylan Cousins because they're both on trade blocks. They're with teams that are struggling to want to make some changes for change's sake, and it's not going to hurt that Pat Verbeek's on the other line with Anaheim. So I'd keep an eye on. I have that. That's right? Pat Verbeek, Anaheim GM. Am I crazy? Yeah. So I'd keep an eye on those, but that's the type of move I'd expect. I was kind of looking at like what else is on the way for the Wingdings, like an Axel. Bushelnikov, according to AI, won't be in North America till the 26-27 season because of his contract with the KHL. So you'd have to do some Matt V. Mitchkoff shenanigans like Philly did this past season to get him over here a little bit sooner, which, by the way, would be something I would credit to Steve Yzerman if that did happen. I would be more than happy to give him credit if he brought over Booch a little early. But, outside of that, what are the surprises? I mean, Marco Kasper's kind of getting that rub is like he's going to be a good middle six defensive forward. Nate Danielson's always kind of had that connected. Max Boltman in his article today talked about Michael Brandt-Nygaard and how his production's kind of falling off this season. Like it just isn't as high as they had hoped. So you're looking at a bunch of guys that aren't really telling the tale of like offense is on the way. So I don't know. I think you're really going to have to tell Steve, and you've said this in the past, Mike, but drafting isn't everything. Free agency certainly isn't going the way we'd hoped. So I think some trades that hurt, but in the long run are going to help, are going to have to be in our future to hopefully
you're gonna have
not
to take
hit
some. You have to take some risks and hope they work.
Yeah, and that's for us to make sure we're not hitting 10 seasons of no playoffs because I don't know about you guys, but we're cooked this year. I don't think there's any reason to try and sell enough this year to squeak in. But let's try not to do 10 seasons, right?
Yeah. I'm just looking at some of the comments here on a few of the potential moves that have been floated out. And they're floated out, like guys like Zegras are floated out because he had one shining moment season, right? That was trumped by our own beloved Mo Seider. But he just hasn't really grown yet. So it's a guy who would be like available. I think that's why that kind of name gets floated out there.
Yeah.
Crimson saying Casper and Rasmussen look like twins out there on how they play, fitting both being number 9 overall picks.
Yay!
Hey.
Just what we needed.
Oh, Dan B throwing out a late bid for comment of the episode. Hronek for ASP worked out pretty good. And I crossed my arms for those of you guys only listening.
Which is up for debate, considering Hronek's having career years. He's living the dream life right now, and like Vancouver, I'm sure isn't saying, "Man, I wish we were losing right now and had Axel on our prospect pool." So that's up for debate. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dan B. If you're being tongue in cheek there, I love you. If you're being serious, I'm very sorry for crushing that point, but I'm also very happy with Axel. I think it's up for debate.
Yeah, this is scary time. You're gonna have to trade a Casper. Any of our defensemen except for ASP, Sider, and Edvinsson. A goalie that you're excited about, and draft picks probably. Or this is really bad. You won't be a playoff team for like 11 years. Oh, if they waste too much more time, Larkin is going to really start to fall off, and then we're going to ruin his window. And he doesn't have Stevie's talent, which allowed him to have success later on. I know, Corey, somebody's just talking about, Steve didn't win his first cup till he was 32. Yeah, but these are different. This is a different league than when Steve was playing in, when you could there was no salary cap, and it was the Wild West. We're gonna start winning now. We're just gonna sign everybody and trade for whatever you wanted. First round picks or just candy. Anyone can have one. You can have one. You can have one. Now nobody trades that kind of stuff. It's rare.
Right. And for the Larkin conversation, he's at that plateau point where it's like, all right, he's had the best season he could have, which was a point per game last year. He's right now on pace for 63 points this year on 82 games.
Ooh,
which is not terrible, but for an $8.7 million player is an incredible. It's not a fantastic deal like we thought it would be. And unfortunately, here's the thing. You plateau at 27, 28, and then at 29, you go like this. Wow. 29, 30. Save for the elites of the elites. Save for that, which I don't know if we're ready to have that conversation yet. But I could not be more nervous about taking advantage of Larkin's best years while we've got him. I could not be more nervous this season than I have been his entire career. Because I've always kind of I've always just kind of been like, yeah, we're not at 28 yet. Well, now we're at 28. And next season we'll be at 29. And statistically for all NHL players is when you see the drop off. So,
well, you know what? I'm not too worried about Larkin, honestly.
Okay.
I think it really was him saying, you know what, guys, let's give this LaLonde guy a chance. You know what, guys, let's give this LaLonde guy a chance. You know what, guys, I think it's working. Oh, not again. Yeah, you're right, coach. I'm not doing enough. I'm not bleeding enough. So now that's over, okay? Him getting blamed for this is over. I think that there's going to be a tremendous weight lifted off this guy. I would be surprised if he scores on Friday. I'm saying it right now.
Ooh, brand new coming in. Hronek is on LTIR. I think the Wings knew he was fragile. All right.
Brand new coming in like mean Russian in Rocky IV. If he dies, he dies.
I stand corrected. Dan B wins the argument.
Don't give up on Larks. I think that there's, who actually said it, and I can't remember if we even brought it up on the show. It was Mickey Redmond. He's like, the whole team looks like they're playing with, it wasn't the world on their shoulders. It was like a piano. He said it looks like they're playing with a piano on their backs. So I'm hoping that LaLonde piano being off Larkin's back, maybe he'll open up a little bit more.
Yeah, I it'll be interesting to see what happens against Toronto because in all honesty, like, do we need this season to turn around? No. But do you want to see something change on Friday, tomorrow? I think so. I think you want to see something look a little bit more juicy, right, for the rest of the year. Because I honestly, Mike, I was really just like, why am I not just watching It's a Wonderful Life and A Christmas Story right now while I'm watching us lose to the Canadians and watching us lose to St. Louis? I'm like, what a waste of my time.
Yeah.
But I think there is something to be said for something a little more exciting. And I will say, I will take away all of those feelings if combined with the Todd McLellan move. There is also some roster moves, maybe not for this Friday. Like I'm not even sure when the trade thing lifts. I don't even know if you can do trades tomorrow, but even still, I don't think you're seeing anything until January, and I don't know anything, but I guess I feel like that makes sense, but I don't know. Hey, Andrew Kopp's projected to have 34 points this year. Pretty neat.
Oh.
Yep. Eventually that core injury, I think as a 30-year-old, Andrew Kopp being 30, I'm 36. As a 30-year-old, I think it'll just calcify and he'll just be more like Colossus at this point, I think. I'm kidding. I'm a dick. I really hated the Andrew Kopp signing. I will never stop hating it. You guys kept telling me it was coming around. It was going to start to work out. Oh, gosh, look at Andrew Kopp. He plays real hard. Oh, look at him play real hard. He sucks.
I don't blame him. I blame Yzerman for that. That's my new thing. It's not Kopp's fault. He didn't.
You're right. No, you're right.
He didn't say, hey, overpay me. For how many years? All right. Well, I'm not going to turn that down. What are we mad at him for? Yzerman signed the deal.
All right. We gotta.
Your doppelganger saying we're never going to trade Larkin. Matt, I agree. But this summer would be the best time to pull the trigger. Oh, other Matt, I disagree. Bottom out for the captain to get a sweepstakes. Just saying. Even with Larkin, I think we can bottom out. So arguably, you want to give him even more years because then you can get more top draft picks.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I've started to look at the prospect pools for the upcoming draft, and you're kind of like, wow, Steve, you really know when to have your team suck ass, man. Because you go back-to-back years of Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini, and like, you know, for sure, like Bedard's having his troubles, but Macklin Celebrini looks like a super duper star right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a hell of a kid. Like his post-game interviews are so much fun. And it's just like, those were the 2 years that we had no shot. And now we're back at it. And the number one guy in the draft this year is going to be a defenseman. Cause it's like, well, I mean, these forwards are fine, you know, middle six. And it's like, fuck. But yeah, is McKenna's the 2026 draft, I think. Is that right, Matt? Or am I wrong?
Good question.
I feel like that's right in my head, but I'm also
you're pulling that up. Dan
a draft expert.
Dan B saying, take the credit card away from Steve. No free agents. I am glad that he tried, but I think someone else should try now because you really screwed this up. You really screwed the pooch, Dwight, and I don't think that you should get the company card. I like that.
Yeah, McKenna's got that, like sort of Connor Bedard, like for sure he will be number one in the 2026 NHL draft. So yeah, don't suck this year, and I guess suck next year too. So yeah,
wow,
10 years, no playoffs. Let's do it.
Let's break that record, baby.
Jared,
but
fire
yeah,
all the post outs.
Yeah, make sure you got your tweets. Get your tweets open tomorrow because there might be a Red Wing trade.
Oh yeah, Silver thrown out there. Michael Misa. He's the guy that Mike he launched.
Wasn't he in Phantom Menace?
Yeah, and a team he was playing, him playing for the Saginaw Spirit. Silver, correct me if I'm wrong. They did a teddy bear toss, and Michael Misa started launching the teddy bears back into the stands. I can get on board with the Michael Misa. That sounds like fun. All right, silver throwing. That's right. All right, guys, we gotta sign off. This has been a fun episode. Mike, are we coming back if there's a big trade?
If there's a trade, we're having an episode tomorrow. But right. I'm pretty confident we're not going to have a trade. So there probably won't be an episode tomorrow.
But we will come back if there is one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks for coming aboard, guys. It's been a pretty fun episode. Well, if you're new, please subscribe. We'll see you guys if there's a trade made.
Before we go, I'm just so proud of this group that everybody's not polishing the knob of Steve for, big move, Steve. Things are going to turn around now. Which probably means that Blake didn't have an internet connection tonight. But we will see you guys when we make a trade, or we will see you another time, probably next week.
But yeah, hit the like button, guys, if you have a second. Hit the subscribe button so you can see us in the lovely takes for when the trades are made. And you know what, Mike? The TikTok account doing pretty good right now. We had 900, almost 1,000 views on the last post I made. That was pretty fun.
The bots like us. Oh, sorry. And the Chinese. Gotta love China. All right, big fans of hockey. All right, big fans. 2 handsome boys, probably the handsomest I've ever seen. All right, 4 more years of that, huh?
Did you see Donald Trump is trying to get Wayne Gretzky to be the, prime minister in Canada?
You don't run Canada, you dumb fuck. All right, let's end this episode before we start alienating people.
All right, it's hockey news. I don't know.
Let's
go.
Right,
see you guys.
Go Gretzky. All right, bye-bye.